Hello guys, and welcome to the Companion's Guide for Preston Garvey. When the sole survivor wanders in Concord for the first time, he is met by a group of raiders pinning down some settlers in the Museum of History. Inside he can find the last of the Minutemen, Preston Garvey.
Man, I don't know who you are, but your timing's impeccable.
Preston Garvey can be found in the Museum of History, leading a small group of Minutemen on the run. Preston is an avid believer in the Minutemen cause and hopes for justice and stability for the fair people of the Commonwealth. Preston is a sharpshooter mainly, utilizing his laser musket to hit enemies from afar. He is a good choice for the player character who likes to get up close and personal, or for the player character who plans out raids on enemies from afar. His strengths are his stealth assaults and picking up enemies from long distance. Let's go over Preston's special stats. His special stats are as follows: 5 strength, 10 perception, 7 endurance, 9 charisma, 8 intelligence, 10 agility, and 8 luck. So in English, this basically means that Preston is a great sharpshooter and he's excellent at stealth. One thing to note is that when you're sneaking around in Boston, you can be spotted by enemy searchlights while standing up, but crouching, they'll have a hard time spotting him, if possible at all. Personally, I like giving him a grenade and asking him to go near enemies and chunk it at them for rather explosive results. Preston Garvey has a carry weight of 165 pounds, which is fairly low compared to other companions. A set of power armor can help offset this, and since companions do not burn through fusion cores, he can stay in the power armor indefinitely. Note that there has to be an active power core in the power armor frame for him to be able to use it. It seems fitting for him to have the Minutemen power armor paint job too, since that's all he really talks about.
You've probably realized by now how important the Minutemen are to me. When I was a kid, the Minutemen were my heroes. They were the only good guys around, really. When I turned 17, I joined up with Ezra Hollis's company. He was one of the good ones. Really believed in the old-time Minuteman way.
Preston's perk is called United We Stand, giving the player character 20% extra damage increase and plus 20 damage resistance when dealing with 3 or more enemies. This perk is useful at all stages of the game because many enemies you will encounter in the Wasteland come in patrols of 3 or more, i.e. You have the super mutants, raiders, you have ghouls. All those enemies will come in packs or groups of 3 or more. So definitely it's a must-have, especially with the end of the game. Whichever way you choose, you're going to be facing a lot of enemies, so it's really useful to have. Note that the extra damage is given to the player character and not his extra followers. So for example, even Preston does not get the United We Stand perk. He does not get the 20% damage increase or the plus 20 damage resistance, which is a pretty common misconception. Gaining affinity points for Preston is simple. Help the people of the Commonwealth, and don't harm them or yourself. Preston likes weapons customizations, long walks on the beach, and helping settlements that he has heard of that have been attacked. Things that he hates is killing innocent people, consuming drugs, and engaging in rude or evil dialogue. So oftentimes, engaging in the rude or the sarcastic dialogue options will produce negative affinity. The main thing that Preston hates is killing fellow Minutemen. Strangely enough, if you kill one and you have a certain affinity points, you will actually not have any repercussions. Strangely enough, he's okay if you murder a single Minuteman. I've had it happen where I've called in Minutemen to a friendly settlement. I go over and hit him with a baseball bat, and he didn't really care about the first one, but then if I killed a second one, he freaked out, as well as the other Minutemen. It's probably just some sort of safety mechanism in case you were to drop a frag mine, and then you have some Minutemen go run up to it and die. So that is one thing to note. So you probably can kill 1 or 2 Minutemen and still get away with it. Once Preston gets to a certain level of affinity, he'll ask you to become the General of the Minutemen. If the player character promotes the Minutemen, settlers will sometimes recognize Garvey and give him a few caps or other supplies. Primarily you are given stim packs, which before making this video I did not know that the followers would use consumables such as stim packs in fights. But in fact they do, so it's really helpful actually to have some settlers come up to him. Now this can happen in your settlements, this can happen in populated towns, such as, for example, Diamond City. Someone like the plebs will come up to him and give him some backs, which is really nice, because it adds up after a while. If this sounds familiar to you, there was a similar mechanic in Fallout 3 where settlers would run up to you and give you some cans of beans to show you their appreciation. Sometimes it was useful items like purified water, but mostly just beans. In my playthroughs, I find giving Preston a high-powered sniper rifle or a laser rifle works out best. Although this does consume a lot of ammunition, to be frank, the laser musket sucks, and I really enjoy him having a weapon that is useful, because I enjoyed the dialogue with Preston for the most part.
I'll let you know if I hear of any settlements that need our help. In the meantime, Make sure to offer help to anyone that needs it. That can only help our cause. Honor and compassion are in short supply these days.
What?
Preston Garvey is one of the romanceable companions in the Commonwealth from either sex. Preston Garvey's relationship with other factions is kind of bland. He kind of likes the Institute, he kind of likes the Railroad, but he definitely dislikes the Brotherhood of Steel. He wants to mainly stay out of the way. This leads to some issues, especially if you side with the Brotherhood of Steel, and he frowns upon genocide. He doesn't really appreciate that, especially if you were to go to the Institute and murder them all, like I did. He didn't like that at all. Actually, so much so that he would not become my follower again. He would just sit there and tell me, "Why did you kill all of them? That was murder." And then he just didn't want to be my follower anymore. So be careful with your choices if you do want to keep Preston Garvey as a character, even after you continue the main storyline. A few other things about Preston. When you actually meet Preston, he was very depressed. He's been on the run for a long time since the Quincy Massacre, which he describes as being a huge disappointment. One of his own fellow Minutemen actually betrayed him and his commanding officer. Since then, he is leading a group of civilians away from Quincy, first going to Jamaica Plain, then going to Lexington, and then moving to Concord. He started off as 20 survivors, and when you meet him in Concord, there are only 5 left. One last little note about Preston is that he sometimes has bugs with his laser musket. Sometimes he'll hold onto the barrel of the laser musket, which would cut off his fingers with a laser beam. Other times he's holding it more like a flag. I don't know if any of this is intentional, but it's sometimes really funny to look at. Alright guys, if you liked the guide, remember to give it a thumbs up. I put a lot of work and a lot of love into this guide, so remember to subscribe and look forward to more Fallout 4 guides to come. And as always, stay classy out there.